Hello, welcome back to the Ospreys Eyrie podcast, the podcast who doesn't take memes on Twitter really seriously, unlike some people. Please, guys, stop. It was just a really funny meme. I am James, as always. Joining me as it's just like clockwork, like the Hair Bears in the heyday of the Ospreys. It is Yeston and Robbie. How are we, gents?
I'm all good. Yeah, back again for another week, and yeah, I'm all good. A bit of a quiet week, but yeah, still yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. Yes, you're missing the Duncan Jones trip. We need to build this out. We need to work on this.
Yeah,
I
I
might
feel like
just
obviously
I might just stun my entire family and just go for a mohawk next time. See
Yeah,
what.
obviously, Robbie, you've got to be Adam Jones to the long sort of.
Yeah, my fashion icon always.
I'll go Hibbard,
Yes.
and then yes, then definitely be Duncan.
Then we can find a
We
Paul James to come off the bench odd weeks when we can't make it.
we are Paul James. We need to find out Paul James. Oh, right, gents, how are we? How's our week been?
I mean, long, busy. Six
Yeah,
Nations, busy time.
yeah,
I
that
am. This
happened.
is yeah. This is the first thing actually being recorded in the studio section of the new Squid Rugby office.
Oh,
Um,
in the Trump Towers, in the
yeah,
Switch Towers.
yeah. Here we are. Which look, we had plans to record all sorts and do all sorts of test stuff for the Six Nations, and bits keep getting pushed back. All the paneling, as you can see, all the soundproof paneling has fallen off the wall. So the sound quality might not be what we're hoping for, but there you go. I suppose the audio for the next video, which should be up hopefully tomorrow, maybe the day after, whatever, was recorded here as well in this very spot where I'm sitting. But yeah, it's been a for me a busy week on Six Nations stuff, but not as busy as it has been in years gone by.
See, I watched your Island fly half video.
Mm.
And you'd already pre-warned us that you used 3.42 seconds of an Ospreys clip. But I was like, yes. I was still like, representation in an
I
island's fly half video.
It's my favorite thing is to cram little bits of the Ospreys and Wales women into videos where they don't fit, where there's no
Yeah.
need for them to be in there, but I can just like slide them in. And I've got a Springbok fan now watching 4 seconds of a URC win over the Dragons.
Oh. Yes, then how's your week?
Yeah, rather quiet. I managed to miss a Pontypridd game for like the second time this season, which is quite the feat. And for the second time this season, where I haven't gone to a game, Pontypridd have lost. So they probably might. I'm probably go into the next one just to see if results change. But yeah, it was a rather quiet weekend. I just watched some rugby. I wrote up a piece on the Wales Scotland game yesterday, and obviously compared to Robbie's videos, it's really hard to maybe put an Ospreys reference into it. So it's a little bit trickier on my end, but yeah, hoping to get maybe the odd piece out. And then university work is still always a constant. And I nearly deleted all my documents and downloads off my laptop on Tuesday, which was a little bit exciting and a little bit tense. And I don't think I can repeat what I said, what I muttered. And but luckily all is good and still powering on.
Yeah, I've had a week definitely. So I am currently in the process of going on a secondment to another school for what I do to go and sort out the department that I work in at another school, and it's very stressful. Um, but also equally rewarding because it's half term in 3 days' time. And it is a long week of sport because you've got the under 20s on Friday, I think, which would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
great. We'll talk about that in a minute. You've obviously got the big one on Saturday, uh, and then the Super Bowl on Sunday, which is always something
Mm.
I try and stay up for. Um, because clearly we'll be watching Lewis Rees Summit in there in a couple of years. Um, because everyone goes. The Lewis Rees Summit thing is really funny at the minute because everyone's like, he went to the NFL to this training camp thing, and they're like, oh my god, he's going to be amazing, and everyone's like, guys, come on, he's quick, but is he going to be good? And then some photos came out, and then I was like, oh my god, he's in pants, he's going to be amazing, and then the hype dies down. And then like there's some videos of him catching a ball, which he's done like every day for the past like 6 years. and the hype's come back up again, and it's just really funny, and I really hope he makes it. But he's clearly not packed anything but the same pair of Wales training tops and shorts, because that's all he's training in.
Has he been wearing those?
Yeah,
that's a next level
Wales kit.
That's a next level of seeing people in old stash. Like,
yeah.
I love it when they cut to, like, Adam Jones is great for it. Whenever you see him in a crowd or you see him just being, walking around, he's always wearing old Lions shirts, his old Lions kit. I love that Lewis Rees-Zammit's taken that to another sport. They said to rock up in your PE
it's
kit.
Different. But there's always the stories of Sean Edwards in like West London pubs in like 2013 Lions tracksuits, and it's like it's 2018. like Sean, or no, was it 2009? His young Lions story went on, wasn't it? So yeah, we've been 2009. That's great. They all still use their kit bags. It's great. Old stash spotting is fantastic. Oh, right. News. There's no news again.
There is, in the words of Gareth Thomas, rumours. We've all got rumours.
Yes, we'll talk about rumours. Yeah, who's your sources? We all got tell me your sources. So I made that joke in the main chat for rap on Saturday, and I was walking to rugby for my game, and I said that like, we've all got sources. Tell me your sources, and the photo of Gareth Thomas in that horrible chicken curry jacket he's got on, and with Eddie Butler, and no one laughed. Jamie just thought I was spelling sources wrong. I was like, "You're all older than me. How can you be this uncultured? Tell me your sources." But before we do that and go on to the rumour mill, I've actually got a new try of the month format the Ospreys have put out. I don't know if anyone watched this video, but they've done it across all of the teams that the Ospreys put out. So the regional age grade under 18s, the girls under 18s, and the senior team. And if you want to watch it, it's 2 minutes of glorious running rugby. Or sorry, forward dominated
drive
over maul tries. That we there's not definitely the filthiest goose step by Hannah Marshall, future Wales captain and 10, who is now my new favourite player, or number 8 George Iono, who just cuts through like 8 defenders in a Morgan Morse-esque run. But no, we score pushover tries.
Yeah, I enjoyed the one pass in that video.
Yeah. So it's so that's good. Go watch that. Go vote for your try of the month. I mean, Morgan Morse is going to win it because that man literally could win anything. But what's also scary is we played Cardiff on January 1st, and that January's lasted about 6 months.
Jeez, yeah.
So yeah, other news. The girls finished their under 18s campaign this weekend with a win over RGC. Really, it's been a mixed bag for them. The other RGC team sort of dominate that league, but some really good performances. Hannah Marshall, Georgia Iono picking up a hat-trick in one game. So the future is looking bright, and we know Lance Bradley is looking at that as a future avenue for the Ospreys of having a women's team, so having a strong under 18s sort of setup for the women is just going to aid us in the future. As we record right now, the under 18s are in their final game against the Scarlets. They are currently losing 15-0. This is a good Scarlet side. Let's not. They're very good. Right, come on, let's talk about the rumour mill. I don't want to talk about some of these, or one of them in particular. So, Robbie, before we talk about the one that's going around Twitter, do you want to talk to us about what you put in our group chat? And I still haven't found your sources.
It's carbonara. Notes. Yeah. So if you poke around enough of the internet, which I had a script to proofread yesterday, and so I did some procrastinating and started poking around. and came across the rumor that the Ospreys have apparently signed or are close to signing a French Pro D2 Welsh qualified, or Welsh heritage was the phrase used, second row, which is one of my favorite combinations of people, but I can think of nobody who fits that bill.
That is exactly everything I look for in a person. Is you're French second row, but you're Welsh qualified. You've played in the Pro D2, so you're essentially blind, with and intolerant to pain, and you've signed for the Ospreys.
Yeah. He's really into the Mission Impossible films, is the one thing on my checklist they're missing.
Yeah.
And they could be. They could be. Might be a big Ethan Hunt
You never
fan.
know. So that's an interesting one. And it'd be interesting to see why we've signed a second row.
Though it is an area where we've had points this season where it's looked like we couldn't fill it. We had James Ratty in the last game against the Lions, came and had to slot in. With James Fender getting injured, there's talk that he could have been in the Welsh squad. Apparently, again, a further rumour that Gatlin told him he would have been in if not for the injury he picked up against Perpignan. If you've got him, Beard, and potentially even Rhys Davis all making Welsh squads, suddenly that starts to look slightly light on the ground if, especially if you certain picks up an injury such as he has so far, suddenly during those international periods, and there will be more of them next season, suddenly it starts to look like a bit of an issue. So bringing in a second row who is perhaps more experienced, if experienced in gouging as well, is not a bad thing.
In vehicular homicide is what your your cup of tea is. That's exactly why we brought him in. It does suggest that they see Ratty as a long-term back rower than they do, which I think a lot of people have said anyway. He is a long-term back rower, and I think he was quietly good over Christmas. Played at 6, obviously slotted in the Lions game, but so does maybe a Hugh Sutton is off. I quite like Hugh Sutton. But yeah, so that's an interesting one. The more public one is Stephen Thomas, cousin of Gareth Thomas, Ospreys loosehead, has been linked with, or is on the verge of signing with the Ospreys. This is what was reported. Thomas's Scarlet contract expires at the end of the current season. The 26-year-old is expected to make the short journey across the bridge. He's a former Wales under-20s prop and is a solid performer, but is behind Wyn Jones and Kemsley Mattress in the pecking order. Should he put pen to paper, he'll be reunited with Gareth Thomas. The Ospreys also have destructive scrummager Nicky Smith on their books, but even though the experienced Wales international recently signed a new long-term deal, it is understood he has a breakout clause and is wanted by English clubs and French clubs. Now, there are two things in that. I was under the impression that Nicky Smith signed a short-ish term deal. It was a 1 or 2 year deal, is what I was told. So long term is news to me. It does it hint at Nicky being off? No, because where the next rumour comes in is that there are two parts to this deal. Is Stephen Thomas comes to us, and I say this with a heavy heart. The rumour is Rhys Henry is going the other way to the Scarlets. Now, I know we should all take a minute to just process this. I know phones have just been dropped around the Southwest Wales area, and the couple of listeners we have in England. Rhys Henry may be off to the Scarlets. Now, yes, so what do you think of that deal? Like, if we get Stephen Thomas, they get Rhys Henry. Putting aside our love for Big Sexy, what is your like genuine rugby nose thoughts on this deal?
Obviously, on the point of versatility, it's not the greatest of moves as obviously you see Rhys Henry who can play both sides of the scrum, and obviously with budget cuts, you're thinking, oh, maybe that might be someone you probably want to keep as like an option that can scrimmage at loose head and tight head. I think Steph Thomas would be a good move. It'd be very interesting to see how he would work under Toby Booth and Duncan Jones. But I think the situation that Rhys Henry's got himself in at the minute, whilst he has obviously the versatility trait to him by playing at both sides, I think Garen Phillips and Ben Warren have both quietly gone ahead of him in the pecking order in some way. So, and it's just quietly happened overnight. And obviously against the Lions, you saw that Henry was starting as loose head, but then when you'd seen games where Henry had been maybe covering tight head, you'd maybe seen Warren on the bench. So probably with the budget cuts and everything is probably coming along in the next couple of months. Probably wanted to keep someone like Rhys Henry mainly because of his ability. But it's probably a kick in the teeth for Ospreys supporters the year that he's gone down west, especially after singing Jailhouse Rock at Welford Road. But then again, Steph Thomas seems like an okay player. Has a lot of experience of regional rugby, and with someone like Toby Booth, someone like Duncan Jones, it could really develop his game.
Let's not forget we have two current props in under-20s at the minute, Freddie Chapman and Cian Hyer. Freddie Chapman at loose head changed the game against Scotland on Friday. The Romford Bull, as he's affectionately known. Oh my God! Ospreys have just got an absolute worldie.
Yes.
In the corner.
Was it from 4 meters? Height driving over?
It was a lovely back smooth. Charlie Thomas is orchestrating great. I always come back with Charlie Thomas. I instantly thought of your Reece Patchell analogy, Robbie, with the guitar.
Oh yeah,
that's what Charlie Thomas. And there's filthy offloads. There's Anyway, a great pushover try. But anyway, I can't even remember what I thought. Yeah, so we have Fred Chapman, the Romford Bull, who looks the raw deal. And I'll come and actually we'll do listeners' questions later, but Dragonfire, good listener of the pod, said he's a bit raw, but he's got the physical attributes. So that's what Duncan Jones likes. He likes because he can morph him into this lucid that we need. So
I think the interesting thing on this is those two, if we're potentially looking at signing a second row and a loose head, right? The easy thing to look at it is to go, those are the positions we're losing. But actually, is it just the case that those are the positions which we lose the most players to the Welsh squad? If we're losing multiple second rows and multiple loose heads, pretty much every Welsh squad that's picked, is it just looking to reinforce that? At the same time, there is many more. The big issue here, right, is the depth at loose head is much stronger than the depth at tight head. Where you've got Tom Bota, then you've got Rhys Henry, and you've got Ben Warren, who are both good players, both good URC standard players. Whereas at loosehead, you've got two proper internationals in Nicky Smith and Gareth Thomas. You then drop down to Garen Phillips, who's a solid URC player. And then you've got Cameron Jones, as you say, Freddie Chapman coming in behind. All good players. Cameron Jones obviously had that one break in South Africa that will never be forgotten. The streets will forever remember him.
He scrummaged solidly as well.
Yeah. Like for a debut of a young kid out in South Africa against, Springboks, not bad at all. The other angle on this, though, I think, in terms of signing Steph Thomas as Gareth Thomas's cousin, and the other player who've been linked to in Wales Online publicly was Kieran Hardy, right? Who is, of course, Luke Davis's cousin. Is this just the approach? We're going to keep signing cousins.
Oh my God, are we the Iron Claw? Are we the Von Erich?
Just keep bringing them in. Bring in everyone's cousins. Either it's desperation and they're just going to go to Tipper like, have you got a cousin? Please tell us you've got a cousin. The other angle, right, is the best signing we could possibly now make is Carwyn Tuipulotu. Not because we're getting Carwyn Tuipulotu, right, but because if we're keeping to our signing cousins access,
I know exactly who you're on about. Yeah.
Felipe Faletau, Maka Vanapola, Billy Vanapola, which, less whatever. But more importantly, when this women's team gets up and going, right? Cecilia
Tuipulotu.
And her sister, who's currently in the Dragons under-17s.
Yes, please.
I think that is the angle. That's what I want. I want this strategy to continue and us to recruit tactically for the players best in the having connection nexuses of good cousins.
Yes. Oh, who else's cousins I can think of?
I mean, look, if Jerry Collins was still here, we get Tanner Umanga. That'd be a solid start.
But then we could also get Jacob Umanga.
Yeah.
He can hold the tackle bags for Jack Walsh. On a serious note, though, there's a lot being made about Steph Thomas is not a big name signing, right? When Toby Booth came in, he makes a big point about this. Is Gareth Thomas was fourth choice loosehead at the Ospreys. He's now a guaranteed starter for Wales. That's what him and Duncan Jones do. They go on.
No, if I was a Welsh qualified prop at any of the other regions, I would be looking to sign for the Ospreys, having seen what they've done for a number of players who, I don't think Rhys Henry or Gareth Thomas or half the players you mentioned would have kicked on in the same way without Duncan Jones and without Toby Booth's coaching. I think the way they developed front row forwards has been incredible. And if I was in their position, I wanted to further my own career and further myself as a player, I'd be looking to sign there.
That's why I'd love if they hadn't signed new deals. Could we look at like an Azarati or like a Domachos? What we need is a gnarly non-Welsh qualified tight end. That's what we need. That is a priority for me. And actually, it's going to link into a listener's question. Where are we? So this comes in from. So first off, we've got the Dav Hatley's opinions on Steph Thomas signing. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it's not a bad signing by any means. Any suggestions on getting centres in? Centre seems to be the fan consensus on what we should be getting in. So at the minute, centres on the books. Yes, you can help me on this. Obviously, Keith, Owen, Clear Morgan.
He's a winger.
He's a winger. He is a winger, is he?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen play.
Tom Florence.
Yeah.
Who can play wing but is a centre. In terms of natural centres, that's it.
Yeah, North is leaving. Don Morris is a 1-year loan. So that is it.
Luke Scully is now a Test 13. We do know this, though, because when he folded Malachi Fekitoa. So there is something probably we do need to get in, and I do like the under 18. Obviously, the under 18s is a big step. But there's some good players in there. Oh my God, they're interviewing Jack Morgan.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Those old stomping ground as well.
Stomping ground, yeah. Do you reckon you have to pay to get in? It's like that. Do you know who I am?
Do you think he's had to pay for anything out there in the last year?
He probably did their electrician. Isn't he an electrician or like a plumber or something?
Yeah, he did an apprenticeship at least, didn't he?
Do you reckon he just did their floodlights or something? And like, that could be my rent for the year.
Do you think that's what him and Toby Booth, why they're drawn to each other?
Oh,
Do you think that's what they talk about? Both former Sparkies.
Do you reckon that's why he's so eager to announce him at that Dragons bit? Weird. He was just so excited that Toby Booth was getting his switchboards redone. Oh, well, at least it'll save costs. So when we build the new stadium, Jack Morgan will be doing the electrics. Oh, this has gone off tangent.
This
already.
is how they save the budget. This is how they save money in Welsh rugby. We get the players to do all the circuitry. We're gonna have James Ratty install the floodlights.
No, they lift Adam Beard up, and he's gonna plug them in.
He's gonna change the lights in the floodlights.
Right. So going back to it, centres. What centres are out there that we can afford? Because it's not like a few years ago where we could be like, oh, genuinely we could be linked with this person. It's a case of now it's like are you a centre? Do you want a contract? Like, we got to be smart in who we recruit. So regionally, there aren't any. I don't think there are any Welsh centres or in the region. So I think we'd be looking at and be like, yeah, this is who we want.
Guy I would go for, assuming he's not signed a new contract recently. I'm not sure of his current contract situation. Would be Nyron Owen, who
that's
I
the name
really
that comes
like.
up a lot.
I feel like hasn't quite had the chance to kick on, partly injury enforced, partly just not having the opportunities, partly being in quite a poor Dragons team a lot of the time. But I really like him. I was such a fan of him at the 20s level, and I think every time he plays with the Dragons, he's so solid. Whenever you hear him talk, whenever you see him interviewed, he's a massive Conrad Smith aficionado. And
Big fan.
Yeah, really.
Also good player.
Good player.
Good player.
But he's just, he's really defensively sound, really smart. We could have a Nyron Owen, Owen Watkin, a Nyron Owen Watkin kind of combination. They could merge into one. I was also always drawn towards him because he sounds a bit like, since my surname being Owen and being a big fan of the founding of the NHS, I probably would name it after one of my favorite. He's sort of a merging of two members of my favorite group of people, which is Welsh socialists in Aneurin Bevan and Robert Owen, who I was only semi-named after. But yeah, there's a look. He'd be the guy I'd go for. But as you say, the ground feels pretty thin in terms of regional players.
And I'm looking in the Prem as well. So I had a look at the one that maybe I think he has signed a new deal, who I like, and would probably be a bit cheap, is James Williams at Bristol.
Oh yeah,
who's quite good, or good for that level. I think he's never going to be an England player. So someone we would have signed absolutely would have been like a Piers Francis. We would have signed a Piers Francis a couple of years ago. Sorry, we have actually just scored a Maul pushover try. So it's now 10 points to 21 with a kick to come. So the comeback could be on. But yeah, it's now 10. We did score from the 22 a Maul pushover try. So we're back to the DNA. Anyway, sorry. Centres, Yestin, do you think centres a priority for us?
I think it would be a really nice luxury just to get one in terms of depth as well, because Owen Watkin and Kieran Williams can't play forever, and obviously losing George North, you're thinking, well, we're a little bit light on the ground. So hopefully Tom Florence comes back from injury some point soon. It would be really nice to see Dom Morris return some point soon, obviously for this, in terms of the short term, in terms of
I have a personal new friend, don't I? My new best mate.
Follower of the pod.
Yeah, big fan of the pod, Morgan Morris. I think he plays rugby as well. I think he's just a listener.
Jonah Lomu rugby, he loves though.
Yeah, big Jonah Lomu rugby fan. Has a very cute dog. So for context, right? People think I'm making this up. So Ospreys put out a video the other day of the players messing around with the film cameras in the gym. And what I don't think what people realised is that's the injured players on rehab, and it looked like a full training session because it's like Rhys Davis, Tipperick, Hugh Sutton, Fender, Nicky, Jack, Dewi, literally that's like a Wales camp essentially. And I was like, that is literally the injured crew. And then so I get a message from my. Bearing in mind, this is at 10 to 1 in the morning. He messages me, Morgan, what were you doing? Go to sleep. He messages me, my personal friend Morgan Morris says, good injured crew too. So immediately I'm like, I text the boys the next day. I'm like, I'm screaming. But I said, is injury club becoming a bit smaller at least? And he's like, hopefully be a few returns for the Ulster game. I want to, if we're going off time frames of injuries, we could be seeing like Rhys Davis, Will Griff, Morgan Morris, I think Toby Fricker, maybe Don Morris.
Justin Tipperick.
I think Justin Tipperick. There's scope for these boys to be back in the frame, which you're like, oh, hello. And Hopefully we'll get like an Owen Watkin back for the Ulster game, because I can't see him being involved going forward if North is fully fit. Where does Owen Watkin fit in that squad? Anyway, that's a discussion for later. Any other positions where you think we might need a player?
Just a thought on the centres that's come to me since. Louis Hennessy and Bryn Bradley, the starting centres for the
Bryn Bradley,
20s
I'm
last
a
summer.
big fan of.
Both really good.
Sorry. So I play rugby with a senior academy analyst for Quins.
Oh, wow.
Very nice guy, Alex. But he raves about Bryn Bradley. Very, very talented player. And actually, I think Dan Edwards plays and looks better when he has Bryn Bradley outside him.
Touch of the Joe Hawkins, like clearly a really great rugby brain and big lad. And they're at Bath and Quins, respectively. I believe Hennessy's played maybe 2 games. I think Bryn Bradley played in the Premiership Cup. I'm not sure he's played much since then. But they both made senior debuts, but aren't regular starters at Quins or Bath by any stretch. They might be possible to tempt over, and both of their ceilings seem pretty high.
I in terms of other positions, I just sort of take what would come, to be honest, because we don't know what departures we're going to have. Will Justin Tipperick call it a day? But we've got Harry Deeves, we've got cover there. In terms of 8, we're sort of set with Morgan Morris and Morgan Morse 6. So I'll just sort of take what comes, to be honest. That's the rumour mill. Do we have to talk about Wales?
I don't think so. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have done it, you know?
Yeah, I've written the piece and watched the game back again, and I've just parked it out to my thought for the last day or so.
So from an Ospreys point of view, Owen Watkin, I will maintain, and I said this on the Rap Pod and I said this on Twitter, he was a victim of the system that Wales played in the first half. Right? Sam Costello passed the ball like 8 times in that his time on the field. Right? None of them were to Watkin, I could tell you that. They were all to Tompkins. Scotland didn't really attack very wide. So he didn't make many tackles. They attacked the 10 channel, which we knew they would, because why would you not attack Sam Costello? And Sam Costello is a good defender. So it's what more do you want to say? Like Ospreys boys did their jobs. Adam Beard, I thought had a fine game, led the team well. Jim Botham's try doesn't happen if Beard's not commanding that maul. Great.
So I think if you swapped Beard and Jenkins around, people would be, and had the exact performances otherwise that each one had, people would be raving about how well Jenkins played, but really angry and wanting Adam Beard to be dropped desperately. Because I thought there was a sequence of errors early on in a row from Jenkins that he then put right, and really great to see him do that in his first game as captain. And you kind of see a bit early on that the nerves getting to him maybe, and a couple of like fairly uncharacteristic errors. Where I thought Adam Beard, as the game went on, had a really quietly good game. In terms of that way, he's one of the things that everyone in this call recognizes, not enough people do, how good he is in wide channels and how good a distributor he is. And there's a few touches of that, plus the line out stuff that you mentioned.
He regularly has like the 3rd most passes in an Ospreys jersey, like behind the scrum half and the fly half. Like it's Adam Beard like 11 passes, and then was like he doesn't carry enough yet because he's putting Jack Morgan into a hole, or he's pulling back a lovely pass like a la Tahalahola for Zamet Stray in Scotland 2021. Do you know what I mean? So like he has a defined job in the field. He's also a leader. He's a test match animal. He's a lion. He's all these things. I thought he was going to be dropped for this game. I genuinely thought you were. But he's in. Great. And, Gareth Thomas walked back into that squad. I think that was no one's angry about that. Dom Chelsea can't do another 80 minutes, and Kemsey Mattress certainly ain't playing. then you've got North was always going to walk back into that squad as well. These are not like what's the word? Controversial picks. It's harsh on Teddy Williams. Absolutely, Teddy Williams is an absolute talent, right? But he's also a very lightweight second row, who's been playing in a pack that's very lightweight and has struggled all season. So let's temper expectations with Teddy Williams. I personally think he's a long-term 6. I think he's literally Tom Croft with a Cardiff accent. That's the player he reminds me of, is Tom Croft. But anyway, so Wales senior men's, cool. That happened. That was a game. There's no point talking about it. We've got no players in the bloody squad. Where we do have players in the squad who make a difference is the under-20s. Did everyone watch that game?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
God, Morgan Morse is a bit good, isn't he?
He's all right.
Yes, then you obviously you know. I'd be scared. Like you walked in. Obviously, I'd be scared if you came around the corner of that pace, right, at a rack. You had to walk in like the same corridor as him. Was he scary then?
No, he's probably a really nice person outside of a rugby field. He's really quiet, which is like you see everything he does on the rugby field, and then you go up and speak to him, and he's like really quiet, and you're thinking, how can you do all that chaos and then be ridiculously quiet off the field, but really nice as well, and yeah, you saw the break he made in the first half with the offload to De La Rua, and then obviously running at that pace for that line for his try, and you're thinking, oof, he does look a little bit good. And you could really tell with the under-20s that the players that have been on the regional stage, they showed it as well. Because obviously I'm gonna name drop Morse and De La Rua, I thought played well, and Harry Ackerman played well, and those three have had quite a lot of exposure to the regional game. And you could clearly see there was a bit of a difference. And then obviously Freddie Chapman came on in the second half and had a good showing in the scrum. And Rodri Lewis scored a try, which he replied to me saying the bounce of the ball was a little bit sketchy as he was waiting for it to bounce up kindly. But he managed to get over the line, which was good.
He followed us on Twitter just before this pod started, and I was going to act in and say, do you have any embarrassing stories about yesterday? Which I might do still. The selections are good. Go on.
The point you make about the players having played regional rugby, I think is a huge difference. I remember I just found the thing, I had this up during the last Junior World Cup and didn't end up doing anything with it. But Wales had at the Junior World Cup in June, July, 4 players who had played senior rugby. In Ryan Woodman, Tom Florence, Archie Hughes, and Cam Winnett. They played 11 games between them, 3 starts, right? Versus Baptiste Janot when they played against France, who played 32 games of professional rugby with 13 starts. So you had basically that entire France team were playing in the Pro D2. That really showed, they were coming through earlier, they developed much more, and they went on to win the thing. Likewise, Ireland have a really solid setup where all those players are training. A number of them had played with Leinster and Connaught and so on. And at least they were playing, they had these really good structures in place. We're starting to see more of that coming on. And Morgan Morse is, I would say, a very noticeable better player now than he was last summer. And a better player than he was when he started playing for the Ospreys in sort of November time. The way he doesn't... There were periods last June, where he was really great and he'd have really great touches. Then he kind of fade out the game for a while. His work rate's gone up enormously.
Yes, I was about to say this.
Yeah, fitness, his sheer, I think a lot of his confidence has gone up enormously. And he now, on Friday, looked so up for it. He looked so eager to carry every single ball available, where sometimes we'd see him before kind of disappear after making a big carry for a bit. And that is not happening anymore. He's come on so far, so fast, and he's continued to develop. And I think actually playing for the under-20s at this level, where he is going to shine a little bit more, is going to be really good for him.
So there's a great interview this week with Henry Pollock, the Northampton Saints flanker who scored a hat-trick for the England under-20s on Friday. And he said to me, who's a very good player, and he talks about not wanting to be a highlight reel player. Morgan Morse last summer felt a bit highlight reely.
Yeah.
He felt a bit ruddy data in that sense, in that he was great, and he's great for them interceptions against Japan, or he's great for X, Y, Z, whatever. But what he didn't have was the nuts and bolts of his game. He wasn't making 16, 17 tackles a game, or he didn't feel like he was. He didn't feel like he was doing the little bits around the field, the nuggety bits that you see Morgan Morris do, or you see like what James King used to do around the field, because he played a lot of his rugby at 8, but he wasn't flashy or things like that. So, but you look at him this season, you look at the games, the Cardiff game. Yes, you could take the highlight reel stuff, but just the nuts and bolts of his game are so much better. And like you said, Robbie, it just shows that he's not just there for the big carry anymore. He's there for I'll truck it up 2 meters and go down so we can set a quick ball or something like that. He's got so much better at the little things. So yeah, and it's the same with De La Rua as well, who I really rate. I think he's probably he's a season behind Morse.
Sure. I
think in terms of he is younger than Morse. Morse is about in under 20s terms. Morse is like an elder statesman. De La Rua is he was playing for the under 18s last year. Yes, did you could I think he was under 18s.
I think so, yeah.
He's 19 years old, so yeah, that would track.
Yeah, so he was playing for the under 18s. Yeah, brilliant prospect. Roger Lewis, he came on. I thought he was very lively. He's for that. I think for what Wales under 20s are playing in terms of their game plan, he's the perfect bench player because he comes on. He's just a live wire. He's just come back from long-term injury yesterday.
I can't remember long-term. It was. I remember last season he picked up a really nasty injury, which ruled him out for some time. And I think he just kept on having little niggles here and there as he was coming back in, and having a small injury, which ruled him out for a couple of weeks. I think that was like the process for him for over the last season. But I think he's just come back from, I can't remember what sort of injury he had now. But I think he had a few weeks off, and obviously I think that was his first game back for this year, definitely.
Then you've also got Freddie Chapman, who we've talked about already. Cian Hyer, who I'm not sure if picked up an injury actually, but he's not in the squad for this. A lot has been said about Cian Hyer. He's a big boy. Was a big part of that Rockstars documentary, the weird, I think it was a fever dream, but he was a part of that. So there's plenty of reasons to be excited for as an Ospreys fan, because in the nuts and bolts positions we've got some very, very good players, and obviously we've already had Dan Edwards in that setup. So let's be excited about that. Should we play good player?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
So obviously we were quite worried putting the episode out last week because it was just good player. And initially the downloads are a bit low, and then we just getting tweets saying, please never stop playing good player is like the highlight of my week. So we're going to play good player. And we have chosen this week in tribute to Ospreys developing 66% of the England back row on Saturday with Ethan Roots in his man of the match debut for England against Italy, and then you also have Sam Underhill, who obviously spent the time in the Ospreys. So we're going to look at Ospreys versus Claremont in 2016. So, bit of context, this is obviously a Champions Cup game. It was at the Liberty Stadium, as it was known. Just before I said the Ospreys have gone down 40 points to 10 to the Scarlets, who obviously win the Regional Age Grade Championship. Very, very good Scarlets team. These these boys will go very, very well. This is a very young Ospreys side. They will bounce back. They lost a lot of players at the end of last year when they won the league last year. So be proud of these boys. Anyway, so bit of context. So this was Ospreys versus Claremont. This was the reverse fixture, I believe. 7:45 kickoff Friday night under the lights. So let's go through the team. So do you want me to start with Claremont or Ospreys?
Oh, Claremont.
Okay. So 15, Scott Spedding, fat fullback.
I always fascinated by Scott Spedding. I once said, I don't think I ever got to use this in a video, that Scott Spedding is exactly what would happen if you taught a donkey to play rugby.
Yeah.
In the, look, it will cause breaks. There will be breaks. It can kick the ball miles. Not solid under the high ball though. Technique is a bit off.
Scott Spedding, South African French fullback. 14, David Strettle.
Good player. Good player.
Would have been quite old at this point, I think, wouldn't he?
Yeah, this would be tail end.
Good at Saracens. I liked him at Saracens a lot. 13. You'll know him. You Jonathan Davis.
Oh.
This was that weird period where British and Irish players would go to France for a year, realize they hate it, and come back. Because this was obviously this wasn't Dan Lydiate. Was this Dan Lydiate era Racing?
Well,
No, because he joined before that.
It might have been a couple of seasons before when you had the likes of Lydiate, Roberts, Mike Phillips was out there. I think
I'll always
as well.
I'll always remember from the 2013 Lions Raw DVD when Jamie Roberts is weirdly performing with the Manic Street Preachers in Australia. They introduce him as Wales centre, playing for Racing Metro. And I'm like, you couldn't be less of a rugby fan if you tried. So Jonathan Davis, yeah, good player.
Good player, man. Yeah. I miss that Foxy.
God, it's a shame where he is now. 12, Wesley Fofana.
Oh, now we're talking. We're talking.
My favourite French player for years was Wesley Fofana.
So good.
I remember that try like the back of my mind where he just skins Ashton.
Oh.
It's
so good. Just like, because he kind of burst through a few years before this, playing for Claremont, where he was scoring in every single game. Then France put him in, and he scored every game in the Six Nations. And he was so good. Imagine him in this current France team. Imagine what he could have done if only he'd lasted a couple
him
more
and
years.
Gail Fickou together.
Hello. One of the most Claremont players ever as well. Like, in the way, Claremont are a team who always have a player who kind of embodies them, you know? Rougerie is that for a very long time. He was that. It was Damien Penaud for a while. And now you kind of look at them and they feel like they're lacking that player. Jeannot could go on to become that. But yeah, what a player, man. So fast, so like agile, so capable of making breaks in places where there weren't any opportunity to do so. Loved him.
At winger, you have Noriso Nakataki.
Oh yeah, Nakatafi.
Good player. That's the one. Good player.
Good player. Slightly mad. When they had him and Uji on the wings, France, that was chaotic. Had a brilliant game against England on that. You know that famous Super Saturday? Was it 2019? 2015?
Yeah.
Where Wales, England, and Ireland could all win the championship. And England were battering France and looking on track for that points difference. Then he steps up and I think creates one try and scores another and just sort of looked oblivious to the fact his team were getting battered. He was good fun.
Really good fun. Then this is the Claremont Auvergne fly half and scrum half partnership. Yes, can you remember what it is or who it was?
I want to say Camille Lopez was a 10 that night.
Yes, Camilo Lopez.
Oh,
Good player.
good player.
And it's a Claremont side. And if it's a Claremont side without Morgan Parra, then is it really a Claremont side?
Oh, yes. And Morgan Parra
Oh,
at 9. Good player.
good player.
That is honestly like so obviously, so for context, this was the era where every week, no matter what game, they could be showing like a funeral in Claremont, and it would be like, yeah, but Claremont have also failed to win the Champions Cup. This was that era where they just could not stop, like talking about how Claremont just couldn't win anything, but they had this mental home record.
Yeah, they went something like 80 games unbeaten at home, something insane, and then they eventually lost it. But it was a period where Claremont were possibly the best team in Europe, but they bottled every final they played in.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what this team will ultimately be remembered for. So we move into the pack then. So we got Raphael Chaumet. Don't remember him.
I'm not gonna lie, neither do I.
So I'm just gonna say he was a player. Benjamin Kaiser.
Good player.
Good player. Good pundit as well.
Great commentator.
Makes ITV bearable at times. Louis Jacques. Oh no, sorry, Daniel Kurtzer at 3. Who I again sort of have a memory of.
Yeah, he was all right, as I remember. Fine, perfectly fine player.
Was Aaron Jarvis at Claremont at this time?
I think this would be just before, wouldn't it?
I think you might have to check the Ospreys team to find where Aaron Jarvis is. That night.
No, he's not. He's not in the Ospreys team, but he was weirdly at Claremont and was, but not weirdly at Claremont because he was very good at Claremont. This was everyone was like, oh my god, why is he at Claremont? And
I can't remember if he went out then came back. I can't. There was a couple of seasons.
Anyway, so then we move
ended
into
up
the
in
second
LLR.
row. Yeah. So we got Louis Jacques or Loic Jacquet, who doesn't matter because there's only one man in the second row who matters. And who is that? It's Sebastian Vahamina.
Oh, hello. That explains why it was all penalties on the night.
Yeah. So for reference, we won 21-13, kicking 7 penalties.
And Wesley for
sorry, six penalties and a Sam Davis drop goal because he was contractually obliged to at the time. So yeah, Vahamina. I'd be interested to see what his penalty stats on the night were. Who reffed this game, by the way? Because this is important for later.
Oh no, I remember this well. This was Wayne Barnes.
This is important for later.
I was
good ref.
Good referee. There's another wrinkle to the game. Good ref.
At 6, Damien Shuley. Good player. How many France caps did he have?
So many, like 40 odd, like 45 caps. I would say 46 caps, if I'm to guess. Damien Shuley was one of these. He would turn invisible for long stretches. He was a fascinating player because he was great for Claremont. Then you put him in a France shirt, and 1 in 5 games he'd be good. The other 4 you wouldn't know he played those games. Hence why you probably think he had about a quarter of the caps he did.
He had 46 caps.
That was exactly the number I said.
He also only stopped playing in 2022 when he was 36.
Wow. Pro D2, did he drop down?
No, for Perpignan, so that might have been Pro D2.
Yeah.
So he started off his career at Brive, made 50 appearances. That's quite good. Then it was at Perpignan, 139. Wow. You're like, okay, big journeyman. 160 at Claremont during 2012 to 2019. And then went back to Perpignan.
Wow.
But he won 2 top 14s. One with Perpignan, one with Claremont. But he just a good player, really good player. But one of them ones who are like, you don't remember. He does literally the unnoticed stuff. I was like, when I read that name, I was like, oh my god, I haven't heard that in a while. Number 7, this is where I said it's going to be important for later. Victor Kolyashvili.
Yeah, it's the
So for
definition
those
of
who
good
don't,
player.
those who don't know, good player, but got yellow carded during this game. Yes, do you want to talk us through this?
So the Ospreys are on the attack around just outside the 22, and this Georgian flanker thinks it's a really good idea to push Wayne Barnes out the way when the ball is about to come out of a breakdown, which Barnes gives a really stern word to him, just say don't do it again. I think he got sin bin later on in the evening. I'm pretty sure.
Well, he got sin bin on 25 minutes, which is earlier than I remember.
Because I thought I might have come back then pushed the referee. I can't remember.
I think that might have been it. He might. I think it would be a second yellow, so it'd be off for a red card. But it is the thing he is best remembered for is pushing Wayne Barnes. He was a great but incredibly dirty player for Georgia for a long time.
So, and then at 8, 2 was at 8 during this time at Claremont since about 1972. He's been at 8 for Claremont. Who is that?
Is he still there in terms of Fritz Lee? Is he still like
It is Fritz Lee. Yes,
Good player.
Very good
So,
player.
how old is Fritz Lee now? I bet he's like
38. I'd say. I'd a guess.
35. He's
35.
younger than I thought.
Is he still playing?
He is still playing. He's still at Claremont.
Good player.
Wow.
I think. So,
you remember when he got? Yeah, because he played for. He finally gave in and played for Samoa like last year, like 2022.
2022, yeah.
Yeah, so he went to the World Cup.
Appearances with Samoa.
So yeah, he's still going. Yeah, he played against Lyon last weekend. 80 minutes as well.
He's played 232 games for them. Like, that is... Oh, he's a good, like, really good player, though.
No, fantastic player. Vastly underrated.
Very. In a time where we had, like, good number 8s in the world, like this, obviously you had, like, peak Dwayne Vermeulen, Kieran Reid was still knocking about at this point. This was the year after the World Cup, so he was very good. Like, Fritz Lee was, like, consistently up there. So then we move on to the bench, which still has some very good players. So you have Jean Alugia, that hooker, who did get submitted as well. Don't remember him. Vincent Dabati.
Oh, good player. Good player, Vincent Dabati.
Yeah. Mikhail Simitoga.
Vague memory.
He didn't even get on, so clearly not very good because Daniel Kotzer played the full game. A player who I really liked was Paul
Jadziak.
Yeah.
Good player.
I really like Paul Jadziak. He was like, he had one of them names. I was like, oh, I like you.
We need more of that. They've kind of become they haven't become a dying breed. They're all in the Pro Day, but that like genre of French locks whose skill set, if you were to write out like a resume of things in rugby they're good at, it would just say bastard.
Yeah.
Like they are just nasty.
So Paul Jadziak still plays. He has 10 appearances for France somehow. He's only 30.
Oh wow, okay.
Which is younger than I thought. Which is a lot. I thought he was older. From there you have Camille Garondeau. I don't remember him.
Don't remember.
Claremont hate me. So at scrum half, you had Ludovic Radulazovic.
Oh, good player. Oh, he was great. Could play 10 as well. Kicked goals. Was a bit chaotic. Yeah, he was great. I was a big fan of that guy.
He only got 5 minutes in this game. Maybe that's why they lost. At replacement fly half, it's the glove man. It's Brock James.
Former Ospreys attack coach.
Well, allegedly. There wasn't much attacking there. He was attacking my eyes. Brock James, good player, though. Really good player.
Good player.
He was at Claremont for years. Obviously, he came straight to
because he was.
Brock.
Did he have a brief spell at La Rochelle? Have I just made that
Yeah,
up?
yeah. I think he did. Yeah, kind of as La
Well,
Rochelle.
no one's
kind of
updated
Moneyball
his
team.
Wikipedia, because it still says he's our attack coach. So he
Do
made
you know
his
what?
debut.
I'm really glad of that. Can you imagine being someone who had nothing better to do than check if Brock James' Wikipedia page is up to date? I'm glad no one is at that big a loose end.
So first off, I forgot he's Australian, not Kiwi.
Mm.
Because he made his debut for Taranaki, and then he made 8 appearances over 2 years before going to Claremont and playing 289 times for Claremont.
What a player he was!
In
at his
two,
peak, brilliant.
In weirdly 2 spells. So he's there from 2006 to 2016, and then 2016 to 2018. Which then he has a further 51 appearances. So I don't know what happened. So he's played over 300 games. Then weirdly has 23 games for La Rochelle and 6 games for Bordeaux before going back to La Rochelle, but I think not playing. Never had a cap for Australia.
No. But one of those that would sometimes get brought up as, should we bend the laws and allow him in? Should we find a way to Gitto's law him through?
And then at 23 rounds that was scored is Albert Vuli.
Oh,
good
yes.
player.
Great player.
Forgot about him. Why did I forget about him?
He's the sort of player I did that 2011 retrospective podcast purely to try and remember.
He spent his entire time played like 10 games for the Reds and then sort of like bounced around the top 14. 16 caps for Fiji. Sort of like, you're like, oh, good player, but then like you forget he existed. Won top 14 once.
Wow.
So that was the Claremont side this day. So obviously a very ill-disciplined Claremont side, as they all were at the time. This Claremont team obviously broke the trend of French teams don't take good teams away. Obviously bringing their full lineup, which sort of dispelled the myth a bit.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the Ospreys team this day. Oh no, Aaron Jarvis was in the Ospreys team this time. Sorry, I looked at the wrong thing. So I think he went the season after this. This was his audition for Claremont, I think. So 15. Who was at 15? There's only one person who was at 15 this time.
It's like the same with Morgan Parra at Claremont. There's like Dan Evans is always at
Dan Evans was at 15. He didn't miss a game for 2 years.
Maybe except for the Bordeaux one, that season where he was
Didn't Sam Davis play full? No, Sam Davis played 13 in that game, didn't he?
Yes.
Because I believe that Bordeaux game is part of the limited club, which is another thing we'll do on the podcast. The games where Tipperick played 13. That Bordeaux game, there was one out in Munster when I was there in Thomond Park. And I think there's maybe one other where Tipperick played 13.
So what did happen at Thomond Park with Tipperick? He got off to Hassler.
Every week.
Every week.
Every week. I recommend a film on Viaplay and you bring up that try.
Oh my God, he's cut off to Hassler. Do you reckon they do that? They're like getting shopping or something. Like Jeff Hassler's wife will just get up the Ready Dart video and she's like passing him the bread. And it's like, oh my God, she's got off to Hassler. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, 15. Dan Evans, good player. We've established this.
Good player.
Freak. So what was it? Right. I'm gonna, without looking, how many points do you think he scored for the Ospreys?
Oh, so I think there's maybe like 2 conversions in there, so it won't be divisible by 5.
Right. I can't use his. When did he? No, he didn't. No, he retired well before 2017. So let me have a look. Dan Evans, Ospreys, because his Wikipedia only has it up to 2019.
Ah, okay.
So let me go on to the Ospreys rugby website.
So I remember him kicking a penalty for the Ospreys that he shouldn't have been allowed to do because he was on as a blood replacement, which wasn't allowed at the time.
It's a weird
so I think
law.
there's definitely, I think they've changed it since, but there's definitely at least one um weird, like a few goal kicks in there. Um,
Definitely kicked the
So
conclusion against the
I
Scarlets.
would just like to say
yes.
that Ospreys haven't acknowledged said 3 points. So I'm going to go off tries here
Okay.
because I cannot find a legit three. So he had 173 appearances, and he is, yeah. So you can tell me how many you
Okay.
think he scored.
How many tries?
Yeah.
I get 32 tries.
I think it was a bit more than that because he was on like the records
Oh, was he?
tries. Or it might have been between 45 and 50, so I'll go 47.
It's 52. He is the
That's not bad.
second highest try score for the Ospreys ever.
Hmm.
Joined in 2014 to Shane. Probably closely behind Sam Parry as well. Made 173 appearances. Weirdly, this is like, I think I thought he retired a lot further, but he only retired in June 2023. I thought he retired like I know he hadn't played and he was not the same player. But I thought he retired a lot. Like, yeah, it's a weird one.
Dan Evans is him.
Dan Evans, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he
Like,
was on when I went into the training camp, which was just over a year ago now. He was walking around on crutches the entire time. Like he was still there, and he was, you'd sometimes see him in the stands at games. So he only formally retired, yeah, in the off season. This is our first season without him.
Yeah, it is our first. We are a Dan Evanless team. That's weird. Who was at 14? Do you have a guess, boys?
Hanno Dirksen?
Was Hanno Dirksen.
Nice.
This
Good
was
player.
in his. He showed up for the Champions Cup in this era. It was like the year after. We talked about the Northampton game last week where he floors. That's the game I think he floors George North. Like, I will find that clip. That'll be going on Twitter as well. He just actually like runs over him. So yeah, good player. We've covered Dirksen a lot. Fan favourite. 13, the Sprat.
Oh, my favourite player.
I weirdly thought it was Ben John, but I might be thinking of a different game because it more than likely was Ben John at some point. Eli Walker and the other way. Oh, sorry, Josh Matavesi. Forgot about him.
Oh,
Josh
good
Matavesi.
player.
Great
Yeah.
player.
This was the era. He scored a try in the game against Exeter, didn't he?
The Exeter interception try, which my crowning achievement with Andrew Ford is I told him to put that try in the video. He did. I was like, because have you ever wanted a man who looks less like he's going to score an interception try, score an interception try? So he did that. Eli Walker tearing it up.
Oh,
what a player!
Was this right after peak Eli Walker?
No, peak Eli Walker was when he was in the Wales pre-World Cup warm-up matches and scores that one against Ireland where like Tippery like darts in and out and then gets off to Walker. Because fans have been screaming for Walker at that time. And then he played in that year. He had like 3 Wales caps or whatever. He's like a sport called quiz answer. It was like who got packed. You're like who got capped under Gatland. You're like you've got like 4 people left. You're like who the hell? It's like him, Dominic Day, and like someone like these weird players you never thought would get.
Yeah.
Dan Bigger, obviously.
Oh yeah, obviously good player.
Yeah, good player. Yeah. What's more to be said about Dan? Like, we haven't really spoken about Dan that much because we haven't done any teams with him in it. Really.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's like the first
played. This was the season. Obviously, he played his way onto the Lions tour.
Yeah.
The year after, 2016-17, to a lot of people's anger. Because there's always that clip of John Spencer going, Den Bigger, Ospreys, Wales. Like, and that's the clip that always comes up. And they always have the cameras at the training centres, and you see all these Swiss training centres like around the countries, and then you go to Clondalkin and it's literally a cafe in the pavilion, which is a very nice cafe, but it's still a cafe in the pavilion. It's like Dan Bigger, Ospreys, Wales. Who was at 9 this day?
Tom Haverfield?
No.
Reece Webb?
No.
Brendan Leonard.
The bald menace himself.
Oh!
Socialist icon, Brendan Leonard, who fought the power. The Karl Marx of rugby, who took back the means of rugby coaching to the masses. For those who don't know, there was a rumour that in the late Tandy era, Brendan Leonard led a revolt against. So I can't say it properly. Led a revolt against Steve Tandy.
Bold on bold crime.
He stacked some chairs up in the middle of the pavilion and like started singing Les Miserables. Do you hear the people sing? Brendan Leonard is the same age as, I'll tell you who. So Brendan Leonard is 38. He's the same age as Fritz Lee.
Oh, wow.
One of them is still playing. So Brendan Leonard's Instagram is Wikipedia. He has a notable relative called Ron Leonard. Now, you'd think New Zealander, rugby, Taranaki, think, yes, he could be a legacy player. No, Ron Leonard is an American cellist.
What?
Who has a distinguished career as a soloist, chamber musician, principal cellist, and teacher.
This has the stench of Cammy Black, formerly of the Scottish Rugby Pod, who was big on editing Wikipedia pages because no one checked the Wikipedia page of Scottish rugby players.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm sorry, Ron Leonard is not a real person. Ron Leonard is a side character on like a Criminal Minds episode. Ron Leonard.
Okay, some other people at the same age as Fritz Lee and Brendan Leonard, right? Anna Kendrick, Lana Del Rey, and Keira Knightley.
Yeah,
Leia Seydoux, my friend. The Janelle Monáe. We always think of rugby players in their own like little box, and I forget that like, oh no, Anna Kendrick is the same age as Brendan Leonard. Brendan Leonard to me is like the energy of an old man. I think so. The same age as like Alan Arkin, not Anna Kendrick. But there we go. Sorry, that's an aside. As you were.
Brendan Leonard. So, who did we sign Brendan Leonard from, Yeston?
Zebra. Sorry.
Yes, thank you, Yeston. It was Zebra.
Didn't he score against us that season?
He did. So, yeah, he did. He had 47 appearances with Zebra. I don't remember him at the Chiefs, especially. So, he was at the Chiefs till 2013 as well. He's a proper journeyman where he's got.
I remember him with Zebra. That was
between 40 and 70 appearances for each team he's played for. Does that make sense? Like he's very. But what's ironic is he was signed for injury cover. For cover for Reece Webb to go to the World Cup in 2015. We all know how that went. Sorry, Reece Webb. But Ron Leonard, good cellist. Into the pack then. So we've got Paul James.
Yes, good player.
Good player. Owns a bar in Neath now. Also popped up on my Facebook the other day. He's selling his camper van. So if anyone wants a camper van at good rates with low mileage, please contact Paul James. Scott Baldwin.
Good player.
Good. Sorry, to go back to Paul James, I was on my work do in the job before I left to come to England. I was on the summer do, and I was in a pub/bar in Neath, like not his bar. And it was that point in the night where everyone was drunk enough to be dancing, but it wasn't late enough to like bouncers to be on the door. So like you under 18s could still come in. And I sort of was stood there, like a bit woozy, and then Paul James and his son walked past me, and I just go, it's Paul James. And then like oh, your son looks like exactly like you. So yeah, Paul James, good player. Scott
Player
Baldwin,
spotted. Good player.
good player. 2015 World Cup, vastly underrated.
Hmm.
Probably
There was a
at peak
photo
of
of
his
him on
powers.
Graham Norton the other week.
Was there?
Yeah, so Rob Brydon told a story about when he met the Welsh rugby team, and there's a photo of him sat
Oh.
next to Scott Baldwin on Graham Norton in front of Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo. They looked at a photo of Scott Baldwin.
Sorry. Oh, what other rugby players, like unique rugby players, can we put on Graham Norton? Like Kieran Knightley has to look at a photo of like Jamie Nutbrown.
This is like surely we can pitch this as like a, when they do the interview junkets promoting movies, just show them photos of like
No,
former regional players and ask them to react.
And never mind the Buzzcocks round where you bring out 4 people, one of whom just happens to be like, oh, I don't know, Nicky Thomas or something. You have to guess which one is Nicky Thomas. Like that's it. If you want to save Scrum 5, that's what you do. you get do it. Never mind the Buzzcocks round where you bring out 4 people who are like, one of you is actually Paul Tito. Right. So Scott Baldwin, Graham Norton. Do you reckon he gets a credit on Graham on IMDb?
I hope so. I hope so.
I'll get on his agent and see what he says. Aaron Jarvis at 3, good player, vastly underrated.
Good player.
Was unfortunate to be around in the time he was in. So Aaron Jarvis is not a striker for Torquay United. So Aaron Jarvis is 37, so he's like the same. So started his career at Bath, which I forgot he did.
Of course, yeah.
Until 2011, made 50 appearances for Bath. Now, I thought he made more appearances for Ospreys. He made 71 appearances.
Oh.
17 for Claremont, and I remember him being solid at Claremont. He played 40 times for the Dragons, and I can't remember any time he played for the Dragons.
No, I thought he was like when Lee Byrne and Jamie Roberts both signed for the Dragons and played about 5 times. I thought he was in that club. Huh.
So then he made 18 Wales appearances, which is like bang on for someone like Aaron Jarvis. Now,
yeah.
He then went on a coaching career with the Dallas Jackals, which technically he's still at, apparently. But there's a footnote at the end of his coaching career bit on Wikipedia that says, now head of rugby at Ivy Bridge Community College.
Oh, okay.
Now, that doesn't sound like a big university, I won't lie. That is very last chance university. Now, what I want to see is a last chance university rugby, but all the coaches are like Aaron Jarvis and Ben Foden or someone like that. Instead of having these hard men from Compton.
So, okay, so last week, right, the good player I did, that Ospreys Leicester game, right? One of the wingers, Billy Robinson, I didn't realise was director of rugby at my old university, at Derby University. And I didn't realise that. I didn't put together that I once missed a training session with him. I did 1 training session and missed the second and never went back. I tried to turn up. I turned up at the wrong pitch. The whole thing. But yeah, I was once coached by a player I mentioned on Good Player, and he made no impression on me.
Brilliant. This is what Good Player is all about, though.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Aaron Jarvis, good player. Weird, like he's in some like deep state community college now in Texas somewhere. Then right, so we go into Lloyd. Right, it says Lloyd Ashley, but I'm not standing for Lloyd Piers slander. He was Lloyd Piers first, and then he got married. And yeah, by all means, get the name Lloyd Ashley, but he was Lloyd Piers. Brilliant. I thought a good player.
Good player. No, like really underrated regional player.
Solid regional player.
One of those players who, like, correctly, his ceiling was being called up to a training squad and never playing for Wales. Yes. You're like, yeah, that's correct. That's where he should have been at his level.
A man called Alan Wynne-Jones at 5. I think he's a non-Welsh qualified, like lot we signed.
Yeah,
Played like
he's all right.
37 games for the Ospreys. No, he was good. He was a good player, wasn't he?
He's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've got memories. I think he played like a couple. He played a game against like what Ulster once.
Yeah. He scored like a really good line-out move against the Cheetahs, I think, once.
Yes.
He scored a brace.
Yeah.
Eh?
He did score a brace that day. Yeah. Not bad for a man in 37 appearances. So the man that this team revolves around, okay, Sam Underhill.
Mm.
So, for those who don't know, Sam Underhill went to Cardiff University and at this point was still living in student accommodation, not a house. He was living in halls. So he was playing for Cardiff University, got them picked up by Bridgend, and Bridgend were like, shit, this guy's like good.
Mm.
So Ospreys signed him up. He was good mates with Gareth Thomas. Weirdly, at the Ospreys at the same time was Tom O'Flaherty, who Exeter Champions Cup winner, now at Sale, was talked about as the next big thing at one point. Never really looked anything other than a good club player. But so Sam Underhill won man of the match this night with an excellent defensive performance, as you know. And this is widely believed to be the game in which Eddie Jones sat and was like, hello, this is the answer to our problems at flanker. I don't have to play James Haskell anymore. And he was right. He spoke to Thing and said, you have to sign for an English club so I can pick you for England, and has been at Bath ever since. What's weird is this is one of the first instances where a player, I think I can remember, going for a transfer fee.
Mm.
So apparently there was a 375,000 transfer fee.
Wow.
Born in Dayton, Ohio.
Yes.
So let's have a look at Dayton, Ohio. Let me go down to notable people from Dayton, Ohio. So we've got Martin Sheen,
Okay.
legendary actor.
He went from Martin
great.
Sheen to Michael Sheen.
Yeah. Who have we got here? Luke Grimes, current actor on Yellowstone, the silliest show ever. Rob Lowe.
Oh wow. Okay.
Good actor. Who else came? Right. So, who's that? No, I don't recognize him. I thought it was someone else. Going to athletes. We've got. Who do I recognize here? Absolutely. Oh, Roger Clemens was an MLB pitcher. Good pitcher. They're not sticking out. A pro wrestler called Chris Hero. That says all I need to know.
Chris Hero.
Good wrestler. It's sort of like you go down and like none of these stick out. There's a good few players, and then just weirdly sticking out is Sam Underhill, English rugby union player, and TJ Turner, NFL player, and above Salt Walther, IndyCar driver. Also from Dayton, Ohio. Let's have a look. Musicians. This is normally a good one. Oh God, none of these. There's a man called Bud Shank who's a saxophonist.
Of course, you could have guessed that.
So yeah, not much coming out of Dayton, Ohio, but who is Sam Underhill. So Sam Underhill played 2 games for Gloucester in 2014 before moving to the Ospreys. Where how many games do you think he played for the Ospreys?
Say in the region of 40?
60 odd, something like that.
37.
37.
Oh.
Okay.
So bearing in mind he has been at Bath since 2017. How many games do you think he's played for Bath?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
100.
Okay, 100. Nice round number.
Yeah, 80 odd.
82.
Oh, nice.
That is not a good return on investment. I know he's been injured a lot, but you'd want more, wouldn't you?
For the transfer fee. They haven't made that back yet.
No. So he joined Welsh Pro 12 team, the Ospreys, made his debut against Ulster, and was man of the match in his first start against Munster, actually.
Wow.
And joined in January 2017. So, but he was excellent this game. And there's a clip somewhere. And weirdly, when England were really high on Sam Underhill, they did because he went on the Argentina tour, if I remember correctly. Because Jamal Ford Robinson went on that tour as well, and he's the only player on that tour not to get a cap.
Oh man, you know who got the one cap on that tour though?
Yeah, go on.
Stephen Goddamn Myler.
Yeah, exactly. So he went on this tour, and I remember a video coming out, and they just sort of erased the whole of the Ospreys' existence. I'm like, guys, we're the one who gave him to you. You wouldn't know. He'd be playing for Bridgend, and like would maybe go back and play for like, I don't know, Taunton in Devon or something. Like, shout out Taunton, Harley Worthy's club. At 7, Justin Tipuric. Again, I think
Good
like
player.
a non-Welsh.
Good player. Yeah, I just
like a Croatian signed from the Rugby Euro Championship.
just about remember him.
James King at 8.
Good player.
Where he belonged. Good player. How many Wales caps did James King get? If it's more than 15, Gatland was on paint thinner.
Yeah, I guess 12.
Yes.
James King feels like the kind of nexus eventer on which good player for the Ospreys is built. Like, he is the ultimate, good player, James King, Ospreys type player.
Retired at 30.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
born in Australia in Wodonga.
Oh, of course.
Who are the notable people to come out of Wodonga? There is no one. There is no one. I'm looking on their thing now. There's no one. If I look on their Wikipedia, there is no notable people. There is in pop. Oh no, there is a sports section. Hello. So you've got some Aussie rules clubs. You've got 2 rugby league clubs. There is nothing here. It has a BMX club. So if you are in the Wodonga area, visiting James King's place of birth, you can go to the BMX club, which is situated at a complex near the Wodonga Raiders AFL complex. 203 appearances for the Ospreys. How many Wales caps do you think he got?
I said 12.
8 and go for
11. That is perfect.
Okay.
That is so perfect. He obviously had that collision with Xavier Rush in 2012, if you remember.
Yeah.
Basically mashed his face up. He won his first Wales cap in that Hell tour to Japan.
Yes.
In 2013.
Alongside Andres Pretorius.
Yeah. Was in the 35-man squad for the 2013 Six Nations Championship. Which, and was forced to retire in 2021. Very sad. After failing to recover from an injury in 2019.
Yeah, I think he made like 2 or 3 appearances with a shoulder injury.
I think it was the Ulster game that charged down with the face game, wasn't it?
No, it was during
the
Booth era. I think he had like 2 or 3 appearances.
Okay.
Under Toby Booth. Then they realised
good player.
Yeah, but really good player.
On the bench, then, this is a very good bench, the Ospreys, apart from one player who, can you guess who I don't like on this bench? Sam Parry, good player. Yeah. So he would have been on about 48 tries at this point for the Ospreys. Nicky Smith, good player.
Great player.
Mafufia was a player.
That silence said everything.
He had a really good season when the Ospreys were dreadful. Like he was close to top try scorer, but yeah.
He I met him in Swansea Indoor Market when he was buying some pasties for his children. I was also buying pasties and Welsh cakes that day. Very large man. I have a story about Mafufia for off-air that a certain Mr. Booth told me.
Oh wow!
19, Rory Thornton.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
was a player. Good player for Cardiff though. Never kicked on at the Ospreys. Had bags of potential. Had the best environment to learn in a team with Adam and Jones and the like. Never kicked on for me. My old season ticket seats, his parents sat behind me, and they were the most unbearable people ever. Every game would shout the same phrase, which was "Come on, Rory." my grandfather was a tolerant man, but I had to hold him back a few times. Dan Baker at 20.
Good player.
Good player, ravaged by knee injuries. Glad he got to
Yeah.
go to France. Now works on oil rigs.
One of these players who I think unfairly gets maligned as having been shit, and he wasn't. He was a good player.
He's a ginger cow into a Pelotti. Does that make sense?
I get it. I get it. In that his cousins are all brilliant.
His cousins are brilliant, yeah. 21, there he is. The handsome man. Didn't get on this game was Tom Haberfield.
Oh,
Brendan Leonard played the full 80 minutes while Tom
Brendan
Haberfield sat
Leonard
on the bench.
somehow played the full 80 minutes. Well, it says here Rory Thornton didn't get on either.
The return game for this was, of course, the one where Haberfield scored in the 80th minute to get both bonus points.
Yes,
Yeah,
which was voted try of the season, I believe,
Ah.
as well. 22, Sam Davis kicked his contractually obliged drop goal.
Great
So
player.
he
Came on early.
came on at 47 minutes, which is early. So Bigger obviously went off with a knock. Kicked goals at 58, drop goal at 62, 67, 70, 78. Consistent. That is probably. Do you know what the like? I watched this game afterwards because I was at the stadium. Who was commentating? Sky Sports and Champions Heineken Cup era. Stuart Barnes.
Yes.
Waxing lyrical about his magic wand of a left foot. Oh, it's just a match made in heaven. Is Stuart Barnes on Sky Sports commentary? I don't agree with Stuart Barnes like on many things, right? But everyone talks about the Lions tour, not like there's two people that make modern day Lions tours for me, and that's Stuart Barnes on commentary.
Yeah.
And who's the presenter?
Miles Harrison. Alex Payne.
Alex Payne, yeah. It can't be a Lions tour that Alex Payne there.
Yeah.
And then weirdly you have James Gemmell in the studio, who no one remembers, but I quite liked. It was James Gemmell because he looked like a championship rugby player from like the mid 2000s. And then rounding out the bench would be a fetus in Owen Watkin.
Oh wow, yeah.
This was his breakthrough season, I think. Like the proper one before injury.
Well, this is 2015-16, so he didn't play much. It was 2016-17 where that was the Saracens year. Was that right? Or was that 17-18?
17 he was out injured all year, then came back.
That's the one that's the one. So that was good play. So Wesley Fofana scored a try after 5 minutes, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be a long night," because then they scored. We replied to the penalty 2 minutes after. They kick another penalty on 19 minutes. We kicked one before. So we were in it. And then we just sort of ill-disciplined, Koliashvili pushed Wayne Barnes a bit too far, both figuratively and physically.
Though, tell you what, right? Many of us were pushed too far emotionally this week because this game took place on the Friday night, right? This was the week in which David Bowie and Alan Rickman died.
Oh my God.
So David Bowie infamously on the Monday had released Black Star, his final album. Then 2 days later died. And the day before this game, Alan Rickman went as well. It was the start of that 2016 year where every celebrity passed on. So a very memorable week for completely different reasons and a memorable game completely unrelated to that. I've also looked up, just for further context, the top of the UK singles chart and box office for this week.
Go on.
The week in culture.
Let me try to think.
Yeah, so
2016, January 2016. So I'm guessing it was an X Factor.
No.
No?
I
can't think of what films were out in 2016.
3 of the top 4 singles were all by the same artist. artist might be a strong word if you have of a certain opinion. If I made that joke in 2011, it would have brought the house down. Nowadays, it
Okay.
feels like punching downwards.
Right. So go on, put us out of our misery.
So the top of the singles charts was "Love Yourself" by Justin Bieber.
Good song. I like that.
Solid.
Yeah. The
Stitches
Jonathan
by
Spratt of chart music.
Jonathan Spratt of pop music. Stitches by Shawn Mendes. Sorry, and What Do You Mean by Justin Bieber, also in the top 5 with Sweet
Shawn
Lovin'.
Mendes. Shawn Mendes not bad. Bit sour-faced. You know, look. Yeah. If he was a player, he would be like super skinny era Sam Davis. Like puts up reliable performances that aren't going to necessarily get talked about too much. Has one particular reviewer who raves after him, but only on certain broadcasting channels. Who was top of the film charts?
So this is a great list. So top of the UK box office was Ride Along 2, the Kevin Hart Ice Cube sequel.
Oh God.
Knocking off the top of the charts with the week before, The Revenant. And in third place was Star Wars Episode 7, which had come out obviously about a month beforehand and was still hanging on. Yeah, Tom Hardy,
wasn't it?
Yeah, the film Leonardo DiCaprio wins
and Will Poulter.
Will Poulter in that. Don't forget Will Poulter.
Good
Leonardo
actor.
G and Eurito.
He is right. If you got Tom Hardy, it can be like Justin Tipperick. You've got DiCaprio is like your who's that? Your Alan Wynne Jones. Will Poulter is your Lloyd Ashley in that.
Yeah, he's Tom Haverfield. He's underrated. Look,
yeah.
and I've seen him lead things before, and it's been fine. It's been perfectly fine. But he's not making the next step up, unfortunately.
So I just looked at the Fufanaar try, by the way.
Oh yeah.
It comes off. Do you remember the kits from this year? So it was the yellow trim, if you remember.
Of course.
The yellow Osprey on it. It looked awful. Not a good kit. So it's a simple. Brock James just walks through Lloyd Ashley, like just yeah. So not a good. So films were awful. Everyone was dying. Music was mid. Was there anything good into it? Wales were crap this year as well. Wales were crap this year. England won a Grand Slam.
The films released this week. I've been looking underneath at the new releases this week, right? Ride Along 2, 13 Hours, the Michael Bay movie. Norm of the North.
No, I like 13 Hours in Benghazi because it's John Krasinski looking bloody handsome. Right. Yeah, go on.
That is justification enough. Norm of the North, which is infamous only for the fact that whichever intern was running the Twitter account still has access to it and still tweets in characters Norm of the North. Now, who was it? It was Rob Schneider as a polar bear. But then we drop outside the top 10, right? There's a film called Band of Robbers, which sounds great. There's a film I've never heard of called In the Shadow of Women, which is a great title. I greatly enjoyed.
What?
In the Shadow of Women and Island of Lemurs. I don't know. I just enjoyed those.
Are you doing your
films.
Viaplay? Are you doing your Viaplay segment? You just say.
I was about to say head over to Viaplay to watch.
Yeah. Speaking of weird films, Robbie, what have you got for us this week?
Well, so I didn't. What I did is, as we started recording, because I wasn't prepared, I opened Viaplay, opened the films app, and I picked the first thing I saw that sounded all right, because I'm not sure if there's anything else I've seen on Viaplay. It's called Out Stealing Horses and stars Stellan Skarsgård from 2019. In 1999, a 67-year-old Trond has moved to a lonely little farm. One evening, he unexpectedly meets a neighbor, a man who he once met in 1949. Out Stealing Horses on Viaplay now. If you want to watch it, maybe we can watch it together. We can start a film club.
Film club. I'm still waiting for you to review Handsome Devil.
Oh, which is great. Yeah, yeah, which I said I'd do.
I'm still waiting for that. I will hold you
4
to that.
years ago. Yeah.
Because Andrew Scott puts in a particularly amazing performance in that.
He's
film.
Fantastic. That's a lovely little film. Brian
good
O'Driscoll
actor.
did the rugby choreography for it.
He did. You can tell as well. You can
Yeah.
tell that's peak Bod doing that.
His wife's in it. His wife plays the main character's mum.
Oh, really? Oh, this is deep. We are a disgrace of a podcast because the other three, right? I listen to the other three, and they are genuinely serious rugby podcasts. And then you get to ours, and it's just shit posting, and I
This
love it.
is the mistake you've made in getting me on, right? As it we mentioned just before we start recording, I hit a break point in the video I'm editing at the minute on the Ireland France game.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'll literally 4 minutes beforehand to join on it, decided to join in. And as you very kindly said, James, like, don't burn yourself out. And I do not consider this work. This is not. I talk about rugby for a living, right? This is not a part of that. This is me shit posting. This is like a trip to the pub for me every week.
So for context, I put in. So yesterday night I joined the call, and we were chatting. So we normally chat a bit before recording because, believe it or not, guys, we don't plan these podcasts. So So when I first came on board, I planned pretty much the thing out to stats and everything. That went out the window very quickly. So I said, Robbie, we're in the call if you want to join. If not, we'll crack on. And I was like, I better mention what game we're doing with a good player. We're doing Ospreys Claremont. You know what I mean? Any excuse to watch Sam Underhill. But that was good play. We need to wrap it up because we have been going on for way too long. Although I said that last week, and we'd only been going an hour and a half, which I think is good for us. And we did 3 of these last week. We did 3 of these. Any closing remarks on Ospreys versus Claremont? Apart from we should have got out the group this year.
The choir that I was involved in.
Yes, you were part of the ghost choir, weren't you?
Yes, it was me, and I was sat next to Rodri Lewis, funnily enough. Yes, so
I might tweet Rodri Lewis that tonight. Rodri, were you in the ghost choir?
I'm pretty
were
sure,
you in?
Pretty sure I was sat next to him, and I barely sang all evening. If I'm being brutally honest, I was watching the rugby.
So it's possible that Rodri Lewis's idol growing up was Tom Haberfield.
It could easily have been Brendan Leonard who played the full 80s.
Can you imagine doing an interview like for Wales in the 20s? Like, so who did you admire growing up? And there's that list of like Aaron Smith, TJ Perenara, all these like amazing scrum halves. And he goes, do you know what? I really like Brendan Leonard. I'm actually also a big fan of his notable relative, Ron Leonard, as a cellist. I'm going to put out like an out of context like panel for this episode. It'll be like, what would it be? It'd be Ron Leonard, the cellist, a picture of Damien Shuley. What else could we put? Oh, what else we talked about? Stellan Skarsgård. And Justin Bieber, Love Yourself. But, right, also a bit of housekeeping before we go. So Hugh Griffin does the thumbnails for the Rat Black family, right? And he texted me last week saying, what player do you want for your thumbnail? And I said, Sam Lewis. And he went, who?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's sacrilege.
That's a sackable offence.
But he maintains that no rugby existed before 2017 when Scarlets won the league.
Oh, no. Oh, that's a shock.
What? Sorry. So the Scarlets have never beaten New Zealand?
Well, it depends who you ask, to be honest. Depends who you ask. Because they haven't stopped bloody mentioning it. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so next week we actually have some rugby to talk about because we can preview a game. We have got Ulster on the 18th, Sunday the 18th, 3:00 kickoff. It's not on telly. Go to watch it. There's a Lance Bradley Q&A. He's a very, very nice man. Yeah, back to regional rugby. I'm slightly worried because Ulster haven't got any players in the Island squad. Friday night, they didn't have anyone. Ulster.
So Andy Farrell's not big on releasing anyone, though I guess we'll find out next week.
That is true. And hopefully we'll at least get Watkin back. I'll be happy if I go into that game with Keith and Owen and not like Luke Scully 13. As much as Luke Scully is a good 13, I want Owen. That's it, really. You can find us all on the socials. Yes_Thomas21 at Squidge Rugby or at Squidgy Goat if you like films. Robbie, who are you best mates with now?
Who are my best mates
your
with?
your best mate through your work, a certain Mr. Scorsese.
Oh yeah, my new colleague, Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese, Marty, as I call him. Yeah, who's now
Do you know
doing
what's funny?
Squarespace adverts.
You're probably on the same fucking email blast.
Yeah.
You're on an email blast with Martin Scorsese.
Zendaya did an advert for them last year, and I was a bit like, me and Zendaya are on the same payroll. We're basically the same person, That's all right. I'll take that.
So there's like two people in accountancy or HR. One of them's doing Zendaya's payroll. It was like, one of them's like, what's a Nottingham? Like someone's paying out to like some shell corporation in the Cayman Islands, and there's like, it's an Monzo account in Nottingham. Yeah, so you can find them on. You can find me at James Reese 8, or you can find me upsetting many people about Adam Beard on the Ospreys Eyrie Twitter account. I tried to get into a meme war with the Scarlets boys today, and I actually tweeted some very funny ones, especially the Joe Roberts one. I thought that was hilarious, but they didn't bite, bastards. You can find me on the main rap podcast. I was back this week because they record at a normal time now, where I wholeheartedly defended Owen Watkin. Go check it out. It's a good laugh. Shout out before we go. Shout out Ethan Roots making his debut for England, winning man of the match. Under 20s, smashing it. It's a good time to be an Ospreys fan. Get your tickets to Bridgend. You can now go to a big manor house and eat some food and then go watch the game. Scotland's clearly been given access to a credit card and has been told, go and do something hospitality. So yeah, brilliant. We've hit 300 followers. We are growing. We are the fastest growing of the pod accounts. We love doing these. We love doing good player. We will be doing. Oh, what will we be doing next week? Are we doing face charge down game next week?
Yes.
Not do in terms of it's Ulster at home.
It is Ulster at home.
Six Nations break week. It's just everything's aligning up for it to be.
What other Ulster notable games are there though? I can't think of any. Is it just face charge down one?
There was the one where Adam Jones did a long kick. Did Tommy Bow score off? James, someone scored off Adam Jones doing a kick. And there was one where we lost 8-0 but played really well in one of those shit seasons.
Yeah.
I think there's two games where we actually lost 8-0, like two results against Ulster. 8-0.
Wow.
Oh yeah, one of them was at Bridgend though, wasn't it?
One of them was in Bridgend.
And Darren Cave went on a podcast and whinged about it. He was like, we had to go to Bridgend.
Yeah, there was a lot of complaints from Ulster supporters around that time because the game was moved.
Well, yeah, because there's a big Northern Irish population in the Bridgend area. That's the hub of. Yeah, okay. Shut up, Ulster supporters. Yeah, so Ulster, we'll do Ulster face charge down game next week because there'll be a lot of Alec Davis chat. And boy, do I have some things to say about that man. So yeah, we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Robbie, we'll see. We'll hopefully see you next week.
Hopefully.
We've got a new Twitter banner as well. The best.
Yes.
I'm never changing it because this was sent into the chat, I think, by Yestin, and I'm never ever changing it. And Toby likes it himself. And if you saw that tweet, you know the one. It could be a good time. Good times coming up. But yeah, we'll see you all soon. Have a good one. Peace out.
Yeah.